Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I am very happy to be holding this hearing on a really important topic. I want to congratulate Senator Kaine on his chairmanship of this subcommittee and on this first hearing. As he indicated, we talked and we feel like there's much work that we can, good work that we can do together. And I want everybody to know that the title of this subcommittee might be the longest of any subcommittee in the United States Senate. This is the Subcommittee on Western Hemisphere, Transnational Crime, Civilian Security, Democracy, Human Rights, and Global Women's Issues. And by tradition, while most of our hearings will likely be focused on the Western Hemisphere, we feel like we've got a pretty broad latitude to do human rights, democracy promotion, other important issues, and I relish that opportunity. The chairman and I have some similarities. As he mentioned, he lived in Richmond when I was starting my career in public life as a city councilman there, but we also were both missionaries. He did his missionary work in Taiwan. I did my missionary work in Honduras, and so my passion for the Americas is driven by that, but that's something that we share. The hearing today is very much driven, I know, by Senator Kaine's work as a legislator, but also his personal experience. Congratulations on the 5-year anniversary of the Taipei Act. I actually remember it well. So this was a House bill, but the SFRC had a similar bill, and we worked on it in 2019 over what was a landmark bill, but also a bipartisan one. We can do good work together, and we need to keep doing it. We've got a great panel this morning. I want to thank you, Mr. Ellis. It's always good to have you here and to see you again. But I have to admit a particular pride in welcoming Samantha Custer of William & Mary's Aid Data Center Initiative, which is a program that was founded in collaboration between William & Mary, BYU, and Senator Curtis's home state of Utah, and also UT Austin. And you need to know, Samantha, that sitting behind you is one of the best talent pools that anybody with a college should be interested in. This is Thomas Jefferson High School, Day on the Hill. So these are all TJ seniors, one of the best public high schools in the United States. So do really well, and you might convince some of these guys that William & Mary is where they should go. We've got an opportunity today to deepen our discussion on the important topic that is bipartisan, the clear national security interest to ensure that the U.S. in its diplomatic, economic, and security partner of choice in the region, and that China's efforts to influence folks in the region to pull away from the U.S. and support policies counter to the U.S. are not successful. And the U.S. and the 34 neighbors that we share in this hemisphere share deep ties, economy, family ties, cultural, historical ties, and we need to make sure that we're building off that foundation and off that history rather than taking steps that push our allies away from us or letting them drift away from us without paying sufficient attention. U.S. assistance and engagement are vital to countering threats to national security. We have an essential role to play in bolstering the stability of the region. When we do that, when we help the regional economies and regional political stability, we not only benefit these neighbors that are our friends, but we also reduce issues like narco-trafficking or migration flows to the United States. So we're very, very tied together. Every crisis in the region that affects people in the region affect our homeland too. And there are two reasons why China is moving so aggressively into the region and why we have to be equally strategic in our response. Not only is the PRC trying to box us into a corner in our own neighborhood, they're also really coming hard after Taiwan's diplomatic partners, often at the cost of prosperity and good governance. The PRC's tactics in the region bring significant corruption, economic degradation, environmental challenge, and we've seen that again and again and again in the region. The area where I think it's been most manifest to me is in the relationship that the PRC has had over many years with Ecuador, that has left Ecuador victimized by illegal fishing around the Galapagos, environmental despoliation around drilling or substandard infrastructure projects, and that has put Ecuador in a real jam. And Ecuador in recent years has been more open to interacting with the U.S. because they've seen the cost of deep engagement with China. The PRC is very, very focused on the issue of Taiwan and the fact that in this region, in the Americas, have been some of the most long-standing ties between nations and Taiwan. Now, our U.S. joint assistance programs with Taiwan have bolstered Taiwan's diplomatic partnerships in the area. the chair mentioned some of the areas where we have partners in the region drifting away from Taiwan or changing their policy. But as an example, in February 2024, the U.S. International Development Finance Corporation signed an agreement with its counterpart in Taiwan to advance private sector investments around the world, and the landmark program is focused on the Western Hemisphere and the Indo-Pacific. Direct U.S. foreign assistance is one of the several important tools for countering PRC advances in the region, but the status of some of these foreign assistance programs is very much in question right now in the early months of the Trump administration, and we want to try to make sure that we're using tools at our disposal to do what I know is the Trump administration very much wants to counter Chinese dominance. They very much want to do that, and you see that in military investments, et cetera. But one of the ways we counter Chinese dominance is also in the humanitarian aid, diplomatic space, and I'm sure we're going to be talking about that today. Trade, leveraging private sector partnership, is another one of the great tools we have. The PRC is disrupting commercial exchanges with countries such as Guatemala, and they're exerting pressure on other countries like Paraguay as a means of coercing them into compliance with Taiwan policies. So there can be short-term gains for some nations in doing this, but often at the cost of long-term stability and prosperity. So shared values of democracy, freedom of expression, rule of law need to remain at the core of our engagement. In this way, too, supporting democratic Taiwan's ties throughout the region is in our collective interest. I'll turn it back over to the chair so we can begin the hearing. And there is a vote occurring during this hearing, so you'll probably, see us leave at different times. You may see other colleagues joining and leaving as votes are underway, just to explain that. But yield back to you, Mr. Chair.
Thank